So on this vlog, I want to talk about why did I quit Goodwill? I don't know. How about this? So basically the context behind that video is I basically ended up having to stay at work till about 9 o'clock. And it was just me and one of the dispatchers with me, because people don't know how to listen to good advice. So basically, when I was in the Navy, I was a hydraulic tech. Those trucks, those little gates on the back, those little ramps, they run on hydraulic systems. It's leaking. If there's no hydraulic fluid, the gate doesn't go back up. So I did the right thing. I called. I said, hey, hydraulic fluid's leaking out of the system. We need to shut it down. I need to bring it back. He says, okay, I'm going to talk to the supervisor. Talks to the supervisor. Supervisor tells him to call me back, and they tell me this. They say, yeah, just keep running until it gets empty. And then, hopefully you got everything by then, and then you can just close the gate up and bring it back. I said, you know, I was a hydraulic tech, and it's leaking a lot of fluid. It's not going to go back up. So lo and behold, what happens? Guess what happens? Yeah, that's right. The gate doesn't go back up. So now I'm sitting at this store after hours waiting for a Penske truck to show up to bring hydraulic fluid. And they had a broken O-ring, which was causing the leak as well. But hey, I'm just a driver there, so I'm not supposed to know anything. Or it's not like I didn't have 5 years of experience on hydraulic systems. But let's continue. From those pictures alone, they'd be cooked. You can see they had broken stoppers in the ramp. I'm sorry, I'm sick. A little bit sick, but they had broken stoppers on the ramp. That's a safety violation because we have to stand on there to put the bins on there that we're loading and unloading. And what if one of us was to trip on that flap because it doesn't go down, or it just pops up because there's nothing holding it in place? That's a safety hazard. As you can see, some of the rollers are missing off the door, and crazy enough, that door would slam down on its own. So one of my coworkers actually was standing up there loading up his truck. The door fell down on its own, smashed him in the head, and gave him a concussion. And he hasn't been back to work since. And then we had another incident where I was driving and I had one of my coworkers with me. We checked the back of the truck. It was loaded up with stuff to take to the other warehouse to unload. So we get in the truck, we drive to the other warehouse, we back onto the dock, lift the door open, and damn near pass out. And you're like, why would you damn near pass out? We damn near passed out because a homeless person defecated in the back of the truck. He broke into the truck, defecated back there in some pants. Like, I'm not going to go too in detail with it because I don't know how YouTube is, but just know, like, the pants that he defecated in were full. And then I went and reported it, and the supervisor at the other warehouse tried to make me and my coworker clean that up. And I told him, hell no, I'm not doing that. That's not my job. I'm not cleaning up anybody's, no bodily fluid. I'm not doing that. That's what you have. What's that company? We have a division that is specifically supposed to handle those situations. And instead of them doing their job and reporting it, for them to come down and handle the situation, they made the janitor of the warehouse clean that up. Now you can't tell me they can't get in trouble for that. You know how bad that is? That was marinating in the back of the truck for X amount of hours. Because when we're off work ends about 4:35ish, depending on how crazy the day is. So from 5 p.m. all the way up until freaking 8 a.m., whenever that guy defecated back there, that's just been sitting in there. And I know there's all types of health problems and stuff like that when it involves trying to handle and clean stuff like that, like all types of stuff. You're not supposed to be touching that, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then in the last picture here, and my bad guys, I'm over here trying to go over the pictures because I'm doing this in real time. Like I'm putting it in and then recording it here and then putting it up here. But in this last picture, basically the side mirror is broken. So when you're on the highway going at the speed limit, the 65, that side mirror closes. So now you have no type of vision out the right side of the truck. So how are you supposed to merge over to the right side if you can't see? That's a safety hazard. And their solution to that was let's tie a bungee cord to it. And you're telling me that they can't get in trouble for that? Like they're cooked. They're literally cooked. And they can't sit here and say we didn't report this stuff because we've always reported this stuff. We even put it in the DVIR we have to do every morning. We'd be like, hey, this is messed up, this is messed up, this is messed up. And never hear anything else about it. So they have it on the record that we reported this stuff. And they don't care. But let's continue. All right, and now we're about to get into my main reason for quitting, and I don't want to get this wrong, so I'm pulling up my notes because I'm making sure that I have everything right because everything's written down. So this involves my coworker. I won't say his name. I'm not trying to give him any fame. But basically, I never worked with a dude, never talked to him until like sometime within this time frame, because this incident happened in April 23rd of last year. So I'd say probably like a week or two before that, they put us together for the first time. And I had a conversation with him. We did one of the routes or whatever. And he seemed pretty cool. He just asked me questions like, what did I do? And this and that. And I was like, oh yeah, I was in the Navy and yada, yada, yada. So on the 23rd of April of last year, I went up to him. It was towards the end of the day. I went up to him and I was like, hey, it's almost time to get out of here. It was almost 4:30. And he's like, yeah, why don't you go see if our other coworkers need help? So I seen two of my other coworkers. They were unloading their truck on the dock. So I was like, oh, let me see if they do need help. So as I turn around and I start heading that direction to see if they need help, I hear him under his breath. He says, good boy. Now, I know a lot of people that aren't African American or melanated. They don't understand that the term boy is basically a derogatory term for African American people, or just anybody that's melanated in general. But it was mainly directed towards African American people, especially back in the slavery days. So he thought I didn't hear what he said. So what I did was, at the time, I spoke to one of the supervisors that's no longer working there. I let him know what was happening. And he said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. He's like, I'll speak to him and see what's going on. So he spoke to him. And I would say it took about 2 days. About 2 days, the coworker came up to me and he said, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean it to come off that way and stuff like that, just a bullshit apology. And I told him, I was like, you're not sorry for what you said. You're sorry that you got caught. I was like, because if you were truly sorry for what you did, you would have came to me immediately that day or the following day and immediately said, hey, I know I said something wrong and I want to apologize to you for that, which he didn't. So that's when everything blew up and he got labeled as a racist. Now, is he a racist? I believe so. But the crazy part about it is I found out he's actually married to a Hispanic woman. But then again, that doesn't mean anything either. You can still be racist and married to somebody. So it is what it is on that front. But basically, continuing. So basically, I reached out to HR and I told them, hey, this is what's going on. This is the situation. So we went through a whole long spiel. They were trying to give me the runaround. They were like, hey, we want to just, basically try to sweep it under the rug. They were like, let's have him do a training and let's try to advocate for better training so people can understand like this, and that. And I was like, all right, but what else is going to happen? They're like, well, we can't disclose what else is going to happen. So later on, I find out that all they did was give him a slap on the wrist, which is basically, they was like, yeah, we gave him a write-up. And I was like, yeah, so you gave him a slap on the wrist. And they said, well, it's not necessarily a slap on the wrist. I was like, yes, it is. Writing somebody up is called a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. That's what you did. And they were like, well, if you need anything or he does anything else, just, they were like, just let us know. And I was like, I'm not satisfied. So what I did was I went out of my way and I reached out to the department head. I sent them out an email and I was like, this is the situation. This was going on. He got back to me in a couple of days and he goes, I would like to set up a meeting with you. And I was like, all right, fine. So I'd say about a week or two went by and then we finally had the chance to sit down. It was a department head and a lady from HR. We had the conversation and the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, I thought this was handled already. I was like, I'm sitting here looking at him like, what do you mean you thought this was handled already? Like, how do you think that a racial situation or bringing racial tension into a workplace is handled because you wrote somebody up? It's like that. It doesn't work that way. So basically, after he gave me his spiel of bullshit, and I told him I was pissed off, and I was like, there's no way we're resolving this. Straight up, there's no way we're resolving this. And he's like, well, if there is a way we could resolve it, what would be the way? And he just kept pestering me about trying to find a way to resolve it. And I was like, well, if there was a solution, why don't you move him over to the other warehouse up the street? And then he tells me, he goes, I don't know his situation getting to work. Why are you worried about the situation of somebody who made a racist comment towards one of your employees? Why are you worried about their well-being of getting to work? If anything, he should be getting fired. Make it make sense. But anyways, I had put in a report to the EEOC, and then I I guess nothing happened from there because I was still working there at the time. So it was just like, I had the right to sue letter. I didn't know what to do. I was just pissed off. Couldn't really fucking do much because of the fact that I had to still have a job, because when I was living in San Diego, I was paying damn near $3,200 a month and fucking trying to survive and shit. So I was like, I can't just up and quit right now, because then I'd be fucked. And I'm like, where the fuck am I gonna go? So that kind of just is what it was, and I just stopped talking, barely really interacted with him. Every time I saw him, I just looked the other direction, and basically, he didn't exist to me anymore. And it just got weird. Every time I saw him, it just got weird, because everybody was looking at him like, oh, here comes the racist. And I was like, I don't even want to see you. Don't even look my direction. But this is the one that put the nail in the coffin. On 4/20 of this year, they sent me up to Ramona by myself. Now, mind you, we're not supposed to, as truck drivers, we're always supposed to have a helper because it's a safety hazard for when we're backing up the trucks. Got to have somebody back there, but, you know, there was only a select few that they would send by themselves. And that was like me and a few other guys. That's just because we was them guys. But anyways, I drove up to Ramona, California. I came up, and on the back of the trucks, we have these poly locks. They're little plastic locks or whatever. And we have to have the store, a person working in the store pull the lock for us. So I get in there, and I talk to the guy that's normally in that store, and he's like, hey, I would love to do it, but I'm on lunch break. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, do you have anybody else? And he said, yeah, we have Cheryl. She can do it. So this older Caucasian lady comes out. She was about, like, probably, I want to say like in her mid-70s. She goes, oh, hi, how you doing? I was like, oh, I'm doing good. I just need somebody to pull the padlock so I can unload the product and then pick up your guys' stuff you need picked up. She said, sure, no problem. So she walks out there with me, and she's like, hey, she's like, I'm kind of an older lady. I don't have that strength to pull the lock off. Can you pull it for me? And I was like, sure. Now, mind you, the uniforms that we wear, they're like short sleeve shirts. So my arm, I basically have a whole sleeve of tattoos. Like my whole arm is covered in tattoos. So I grab the lock and I pull it, and she goes, oh, I love your tattoos. And I was like, oh, thank you. I got them when I was on deployment. I started getting them. And then she looks at me and goes, bless your cotton picking heart. So immediately I could feel just a steam coming up from my body. Like I was so mad. Like I was extremely pissed off, but I knew I had to keep my composure, just get the stuff done that I needed to do and get the hell out of there. 'Cause that's all I wanted to do, was just get the hell out of there, do the job and get the hell out of there. So I unloaded their stuff, loaded up the truck, closed it up, sat in the cab. First thing I did, I called dispatch. I'm like, hey, this is the situation. This is what's going on. My homeboy that's worse than dispatch, he's like, bro, what? Ain't no way. I was like, yes, she said that. And he was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to the other warehouse, and I'm going to go talk to the guy the supervisor that I like over there, because I didn't initially feel right going to my warehouse and talking to the supervisors there, because I don't trust them. And they failed me on the first time. So I went over to the other warehouse, and I spoke to the supervisor there, and I was like, hey, what's going on, bro? I went up to Ramona. This is the situation. She said, yada, yada, yada. His jaw almost dropped and hit the floor. He's like, she said what? I was like, yes. And he was like, well, we got to make a report. So we made the report. And then I was waiting. It took HR a whole month to do an investigation just to get back to me. Now, mind you, they didn't even come in person. Like, HR did not show up in person. They called the phone in the warehouse office, and then I had to go there. They told me to answer the phone. I answered the phone. She's like, hi, this is Sherry from HR. I wanted to talk to you about the Ramona situation. Hold on, let me make sure I pull up. I got my notes still pulled up, so I'll make sure I say this the right way. So she's like, hi, Josh, I wanted to talk to you about the Ramona situation. And I'm like, yes, you know that it's been like 30 days, right? And I'm waiting on the update. Like, what are y'all gonna do? And she's like, I just wanted to inform you that she wanted to let you know that she wanted to formally apologize to you, and that it would never happen again, and she's truly sorry for what she said. And I said, no. I was like, y'all trying to do this again, because it ain't the first time this has happened, and it probably won't be the last time this happens. So I was like, either two things are going to happen. I was like, either A, you're going to compensate me. And she said, compensate you for what? I was like, for racial discrimination, or B, I'm going to take you guys to court. And she was like, okay, Josh, you have a good day. And I was like, bye. And I hung up the phone on her. Haven't heard anything from her since. That was a nail in the coffin moment for me, because I knew they did not give a damn. And I knew nothing was going to be done about it. So at that point, I became the most shittiest employee that they've ever experienced in their life. Like, anytime I felt disrespected, if I was on the road and I had to go to a store, if I got a call and they said something disrespectful to me, I would turn the truck around, park it on the dock, turn the keys in, and go home. I'd clock out. And then they'd be like, oh, that's job abandonment. I'd be like, that's job abandonment if I didn't clock out. And I informed you that I left. You guys want to disrespect me? Then I'm going to show you what it feels like to be disrespected by an employee. I was like, y'all deal with it. So from that point on, it was just, I would come to work, do my job. If I got disrespected, and I'm going home, because I'm not dealing with that. I was like, y'all don't care about my situations, so why should I care about what's going on in here at work? Why should I fulfill my duties here at your job when you're not fulfilling your duties to protect your employees? You got me sitting here working with a fucking racist every single day. I have to come into work and see this man every single day. And you think I'm supposed to just what? Be okay with that? I'm supposed to just come in smiling every day like, oh, hey, I know you made a racist slur towards me, but hey, let's just all be friends and let's come to work and let's do our jobs and get out of here. No, fuck that, fuck you, and fuck Goodwill. And fuck Sherry too. I mean, not Sherry, fuck Cheryl too. Because I don't care how much a job is paying you. If they're disrespecting you, don't stand for that shit. These motherfuckers think, oh, I'm paying you a check, I have control over you. No. If they're disrespecting you, you walk the fuck out of there. Do not let them disrespect you. You'd be like, well, I'm going to get fired. Oh, well, wrongful termination. Why? Why don't you ask about why I started walking off the job? And then when that happens, then they want to play crazy like, I don't know. Check your files. Check your files. And then I got one more video for you guys to see. This was the one that really pissed me off. Nope. Down. Thumbs down. Alrighty, I'm out of here. Since you think everything's a joke, and you too.
You gotta let the supervisor know.
Doesn't matter. It's on me. My choice.
What's
right? If I want to leave, it's my choice. My choice. Sir.
Sir.
If I was you, I would check my dispatchers.
Why? What is it?
Because they think everything's a joke, so I'm heading home. Because they want to think shit's funny and disrespect me on the phone. Well,
what did they do?
They were basically taunting me and harassing me. And they're like, what are you doing? What's going on? And I was like, since you want to taunt me and think everything's a joke and you want to harass me, then I'm going home. And they was like, you're not going to go home. You're not going to do this, that. I was like, okay. So I came back here. I parked the truck on the dock. It's ready to be unloaded. And I'm going home. I'm not going to be disrespected. I was like, I've already been disrespected enough here.
They're
plain and simple.
But they were telling you where you were at, asking you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it is what it is. I'm going home.